Imagine being Ray Kroc in the 1950s. Just another struggling salesman chasing a big break. You had tried everything: driving ambulances for the Red Cross, selling real estate, playing jazz piano, and even running a flower business. But nothing stuck. Eventually, you found yourself selling milkshake machines. It paid the bills. But let's be honest, who ever made a fortune selling milkshake blenders? Exactly. Then, out of nowhere, everything changed. One day, an unusually large order came in from a tiny restaurant in San Bernardino, California. It wasn't normal for such a small place to need that many milkshake machines. Something about it felt different. Your instincts kicked in. This could be an opportunity. You had to see it for yourself. So, you packed up and drove across the country to check out this mysterious restaurant, McDonald's. The place was run by two brothers, Richard and Maurice McDonald, and their restaurant was unlike anything you'd ever seen. Instead of a traditional sit-down diner, they operated with a streamlined, assembly line-style kitchen that churned out burgers, fries, and milkshakes with incredible speed. There were no indoor tables, no fancy menus, just a simple, efficient system where customers ordered, grabbed their food in a paper bag, and left. It was fast, precise, and completely different from how restaurants usually worked. And people loved it. Customers lined up around the block just to get a taste. It wasn't just a restaurant. It was a game changer. And for Ray Kroc, it was the beginning of something much bigger. Have you ever made a decision that changed your life instantly? That's exactly what Ray Kroc did. Right then and there, he saw the potential of the McDonald Brothers system, not just as a restaurant, but as a global empire. It was his golden ticket, the opportunity that would turn him into a millionaire. But first, he had to strike a deal with the McDonald Brothers. And what happened next changed everything. This is the story of how Ray Kroc transformed a simple burger joint into one of the most powerful brands in the world. The McDonald brothers came from humble beginnings in New Hampshire, born to Irish immigrant parents. Their father worked in a shoe factory for over 4 decades, until he was laid off with no retirement, no severance, nothing. That moment left a lasting impression on the brothers. They realized no one was going to secure their future for them. If they wanted financial security, they'd have to build it themselves. So they set a goal: make $1 million before turning 50. With that in mind, they packed up and moved west to California. They chased opportunity everywhere, working on film sets, running a theater, anything to strike it rich. But nothing worked. Every venture failed. And then, the Great Depression hit. Suddenly, no one cared about entertainment. People were just trying to survive. If you had food, a roof over your head, and a car, you were already doing better than most. That's when they had their big realization. No matter how bad things got, people always needed food. They took uniforms from their failed theater business and opened a new kind of restaurant, one where people could order from their cars. As they ran the place, one trend became impossible to ignore. Hamburgers outsold everything. Over and over, people ordered burgers. So they made a bold move, cutting the menu down to just hamburgers, fries, and milkshakes. In 1948, they reopened as a completely rebranded restaurant, McDonald's. The idea was simple: fast, affordable, consistent food for people on the go. It worked. Locals loved it. Students, taxi drivers, construction workers, families. The restaurant became a hit, and the brothers started opening more locations across California. To make their brand stand out, they worked with an architect to create a visual symbol that could be seen from far away: the Golden Arches. McDonald's was on the rise, and that's when Ray Kroc showed up. A struggling milkshake machine salesman, Kroc saw something no one else did: limitless potential. He charmed the brothers, praising their operation and expressing his desire to be a part of it. They were flattered and already interested in franchising. So they agreed. In 1954, They gave Ray a 10-year master franchise agreement, allowing him to open McDonald's locations across the U.S. Ray didn't waste a second. Back in Illinois, he founded McDonald's System Inc., laying the foundation for what would later become the McDonald's Corporation. To accelerate expansion, he started a separate company to control the land where each restaurant would be built, allowing him to control the real estate and secure steady income. While Ray focused on aggressive growth, the brothers grew weary. They had spent decades building the business and were ready to slow down, enjoy life, and live comfortably. When Ray asked, "What would it take for you to walk away?" they gave him a number: $2.7 million, $1 million each, and $700,000 to cover taxes. In return, they asked for 1% of McDonald's gross sales. For life. Ray agreed, but there was a catch. He didn't have the money. So he scrambled, raised the funds, and sealed the deal. Or so it seemed. Ray managed to raise the $2.7 million and took full control of the company. But there was one part of the deal that was never put in writing: the 1% royalty. Ray insisted that including it in the contract would scare off investors. Instead, he gave the brothers his word: a handshake deal. They trusted him. That trust was a mistake. The moment the ink dried, Ray never paid them that 1%. He had no intention of doing so. Ray Kroc now owned McDonald's, and he didn't owe the brothers anything on paper. He restructured everything, shifting focus away from quality and customer service towards scale and speed. It was no longer about a great burger. It was about building an empire. And it worked. McDonald's exploded across the country. Restaurants popped up in every state. In 1967, the Big Mac was born. By 1971, the company went international. Then came places, the Happy Meal. And in 1979, the launch of Chicken McNuggets. Ray Kroc had turned McDonald's into a household name and a symbol of American culture. Meanwhile, the McDonald brothers were watching from the sidelines. They had become millionaires, but missed out on hundreds of millions. That 1% they were promised, today, it would be worth over $230 million a year. But they never saw a dime. Worse still, Ray erased them from history. The company celebrated Founders Day, but not for them. It honored Ray Kroc, not the actual founders whose name was still on every building. Legally, they had no claim. Ray owned the name, the concept, the empire. Even when they asked him, "Why didn't you just start your own chain?" his answer was simple: the name. McDonald's, he said, sounded wholesome, American, unforgettable. Kroc's could never compete. The brothers had underestimated what they built. Ray Kroc saw it from the start. And while they faded into obscurity, Ray became a billionaire. But in the end, the McDonald brothers found peace. They didn't live in skyscrapers or own private jets, but they had freedom, comfort, and no debt. 3 homes, Cadillacs in the garage, and no regrets. They didn't want to dominate the world, just live life on their own terms. Their legacy may have been overshadowed, but their original vision built the foundation of one of the most successful businesses in history. And perhaps the biggest lesson of all: get everything in writing.
To me, it was all inclusive. It was Irish to the Irish. It sounded Scotch to the Scotch. It was a typical English-American word. It flowed. McDonald's. It was easy for the kids to say and remember. And I liked the sound of it. It sounded wholesome, and it sounded genuine, you know. I don't like these gimmick-type names, you know. Burger this and burger that and all that kind of stuff. McDonald's, it's got a nice sounding name. It sounds like Tiffany's. And I think we are the Tiffany's of the ham.